Hey guys, today I want to talk about something that, in my opinion, is one of the hardest things to calculate. It's one of the hardest things to explain because it's so difficult to explain what is impactful and what isn't impactful. Oftentimes when I'm coaching people, I'll notice that they'll be like, "Well, I top damage this game." And I said, "But if you actually look at this, all of your damage was easily healed back up." And I show them each individual areas where if they would have actually, instead of hitting like an AoE onto everyone, if they would have focused on a single target, they would have actually gotten a kill rather than doing a bunch of damage to everyone. And so it's being impactful in game. There's a lot of damage. It's very easy to top charts on like someone like Nazebo, but his damage is very easily healed up. But not just that. I see a lot of times people will say, "Well, I won lane," and they'll be in the solo lane. They'll be like, "I won lane," but they don't actually get anything from it. They don't get a camp. They don't get anything else. So while they won, they weren't impactful in the game. So I want to talk a little bit about impact and what that actually means. I'm showing a game in the background to kind of explain. I'm in no way saying I'm like the best solo laner, the best Sonya or anything. What I am going to explain is that I am playing Sonya this game, and I want to show you how impactful you actually can be. So the game kind of starts off, and we get a little bit of an experience lead from the level 1 fight, but then my team starts dying a lot, and I'm just fighting an enemy Urel. Not really expecting to get a kill on her, because Urel should win this lane. And this is before the patch that lowered her mana cost, so she'll be in the lane forever. So what do I do here? I'm adding impact to my team by actively getting a camp. When I push out the enemy laner, I actively get a camp, okay? And after I get this camp, I go back in the lane so I don't miss any soak. A lot of times people would just be sitting in the lane forever. And I see this a lot when I'm coaching people in lower ranks that they're like, "How do I carry in games?" And I said, you need to actively be impactful. You need to make sure that you're covering every lane, getting camps repeatedly, and when you get into a team fight, you need to be the reason that things get killed. You need to be the reason that stuff actually happens. And if you're not being impactful, if you're just playing a healer and sitting around healing and you're not actively getting kills, then you're not going to be winning that many games. You're just naturally going to win 50% of your games, maybe slightly higher than 50%. But again, if the enemy has someone who's being impactful and your team only has 5 people who are just playing along and staying there for the ride, then naturally the enemy's team is going to win more than your team. You need to bring impact. All of your damage needs to be impactful. Damage that's healed is not impactful. So it's almost wasted. And it's kind of the same thing, is like healing on people that are just going to back is wasted. If you're not healing people that are about to die and actually keeping them going, you're just wasting time. And the other thing is just time wasted too. If you see in this game, I realize I take a logical point and I realize that we're not going to be able to win the fight down bot and we're not going to be able to defend against this. So I see, how much can I take by myself up at top lane? And you need to take these risks sometimes, and taking these points of, hey, let's completely change this around. Let's make sure that we're not wasting any time. And you're going to see this game, I don't back at all this game because I want to make sure that every second is actually counted. But the other thing too is, if you're playing, not backing is also kind of dumb. If you're playing a hero that does have mana problems, if you join a fight and you have no mana, you're not going to be impactful in that fight. So I think impact level is honestly the most visible difference between high and low ranks. I'll see low ranks that they'll get 150, 200,000 damage in a fight, but if they were not actively adding impact to team fights or actively adding impact to the game, they're just wasted. And so I want to just show the EXP contributed for a little bit. So right now I'm 1,000 above the enemy Urel. Even though they won the first objective, I'm still 1,000 experience above her because I've gotten camps, I've gotten waves, and they're ahead on kills, and they've already won the objective. So I shouldn't be ahead of her at all. But the reason why is because I'm clearing the lanes, and I'm also getting camps, and she's not doing any of those things. She's clearing the lanes, and then she's not even really joining team fights. So I'm winning this, and she's bringing nothing of impact to her team. She's just playing, and again, she could literally say, I'm winning my solo lane, because she is. I mean, she keeps beating me. Right now, she's out of mana, and she's fighting for no reason, so she's going to lose this fight. But she's won just about all the other fights. So if Urel's winning these fights, why is she losing the game? And I mean, honestly, we're still losing the game because they have more kills than us. They've got more experience than us. I joined my team. We go for a fight. I drop a turret because I wasn't able to get our turret just because I was holding a turret. So I drop a turret here for that. But I'm adding so much impact. Like, I think that's really where this comes down to, is what kind of impact is my team adding versus what kind of impact am I adding? Now, I go back up. I don't want to miss too much soak up here. So I get that. And then I join my team during the objective. And now watch this. I walked in, I spun, did about 40% of his health. Now, 20% wasn't done by me. I did about 40% of his health. I did like 20% of hers, and I did like 20% of his. Now, watch this impact. I go immediately for a kill. I could just go back and hit the target that's actually just kind of sitting there, but why would I do that when I can add impact? If she got out, she would have just healed. And I didn't want that. I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to attack someone, it's going to lead to a kill or it's just wasted mana. Once again, I pick up the turret and I go to make sure that I get kills. I pop my ult, I go in, I use my spear. I'm making sure that we're landing these kills, like these people are actually dying. Because if not, it's just wasted time. So then they go to escort. We go to get a camp. Now, I go to get the wave first. And after the wave, what do I see? I see that she has no mana. So her sitting here is not being impactful. She should be leaving and getting mana because she's just wasting time. I am being impactful because there's nothing the enemies can do here. So I can literally just sit here, blow up her entire tower, gain all of my life back out of any of the damage that she was doing, and pretty much just get a whole lot of free stuff. If we go to XP contributed again, I'm 4,000 experience above the enemy solo laner, yet we were down kills at the beginning of that last fight. We were down structures at the beginning of the last fight. This is the first objective that we've actually won. And yet I'm giving my team 4,000 more experience than the enemy laner is. This is what I'm talking about for impact. When you get into a team fight, make sure that you're getting kills. Don't waste time on their backline. This is another thing that I always see. I'll be coaching someone who's playing a diver, and they'll jump into the backline, and their team will deal damage to the front line, and they'll do damage to the back line, and at the end of the day, nothing impactful gets done because all the damage was split. If everyone attacked the front line would die. If everyone attacked the back line would die. But every time you split up damage, it's just wasted. I see that there's no way I'm going to be able to kill her under a tower that's slowing, so I just back off. There's no point. So she's still going to be able to poke, so my damage was kind of wasted, honestly. So then I immediately go, I'm just adding as much damage as possible. And we go in, and I believe yeah, there we go. We do get a kill on the Brightwing. And then we leave. So we get impact, and I go up, and I clear this this structure, or this samurai camp. And then I go and I get one more wave of experience. Or I don't. Apparently I don't. So this is why I wanted to make this video for a long time, but it was really hard to show it because what I wanted to do would be just really mean. But I wanted to show myself playing someone and then show someone else playing someone and show how just the decisions that were made, like the amount of impact you're bringing is just wasted. And a lot of times in lower ranks, the things that need impact are waves and camps. You can see this particular game, everyone but one person on both teams is silver. Other than myself and one other person on my team. And then on their team, they have one person that's... I might have the ranks wrong. The majority of both teams are silver. I believe there's one gold on the enemy team and one master grandmaster on the enemy team. There's one grandmaster on our team. There's two grandmasters on our team. But in general, this is what you could be doing every game. If you were with silvers both teams, you could be doing exactly what I'm doing and grabbing camps, waves, and you could be the most impactful person and win like 80% of your games easily. The problem is that people don't do this. I watch these games in silver. I watch the people that say I'm better than everyone in my rank, and they're not adding impact. They go in, they fight, they die. Or they go in and they put the damage on the wrong targets and they lose the team fight. You can see the targets that I'm putting damage on are targets that we are going to kill. Like the majority of the time, they're exactly like the targets I'm putting damage on are the targets we're actually going to kill. I didn't waste time attacking Muradin at full health. I attacked the one person that my team could follow up. And that's how you do it every single time. So I'm going to fast forward. And once again, if I look at the EXP, what am I at? I'm 5,000 experience above the enemy laner. I'm 10,000 experience above the other people on my team. 9,000, 10,000 experience above the people on my team. And I haven't backed this whole game. And again, I'm saying, like, some heroes don't need to back, like Sonya. Some do. But staying with 0 mana means that you're not being impactful. If an objective says it's spawning in 30 seconds and you have no mana, you should immediately be pressing the B button. You should be back. You should be getting back to the objective right as it's spawning with full mana, full health, and then be impactful in a team fight. You shouldn't be taking fights that are weird. You shouldn't be putting damage on people that is unnecessary. And I see this a lot of times too with tanks. They'll use all of their abilities on people who are not going to die, and then they won't have the mana ready for when the team fight goes long. So, again, I'm just getting a bunch of camps, and I'm adding a ton of impact to this game. So much impact that it doesn't really matter what my team's doing. Like, they could just be sitting there fighting over nothing, no objective, and even though the solo laners are gone from both teams, they could be fighting over nothing, and it doesn't matter because I've got so much experience that I'm bringing that the enemy team isn't bringing. And that's really what it comes down to. So the other thing that you can do is if you're playing someone who you can add a lot of impact to, learn how much damage you can take. And this fight really shows you that if you know you're playing against people that you're better than, you should understand that you can win just about any of these fights. So right here, I pop my ult, I drop a turret, and I just go and I take this keep. And I can take it very quickly. I mean, with a turret just shooting at it, with myself shooting at or attacking it. Now, here's the thing that I find that's interesting about this. If you understand how to take these fights and you know how to be impactful, then you should understand how these go. So the first thing I need to do to be impactful, kill the keep. It's going to give a huge experience lead. It's going to start summoning catapults, as well. It's going to be the main reason that I lose this fight because the keep's going to be doing the most damage to me and slowing me. I finish off the keep. The next thing I look at is I go, well, between Muradin and Urel, they can stop my spin, but neither of them have enough damage to kill me, as I did go the attacks heal me, so even if I'm not spinning, I should be able to out-heal the damage that they're doing. If Mephisto and Brightwing show up, then I could die as long as I'm taking damage from Mephisto, but if I dodge his W, I should be able to also kill their entire team here because they won't be able to kill me. So I'm fighting 4 people here. I step within the Mephisto's W. And just watch. Like, does it feel like I'm dying here? They should understand what is impactful in these fights. What do they need to land to actually be able to kill me? And they're not doing that, but we are. My Diablo's pushing the objective right now because I'm adding so much impact to this game that we don't even need the Diablo. I have given my team, at this point, I've given them almost 10,000 experience above the enemy team. A 3-level lead, and now that we're 3 levels above the enemy, I can 1v5 this enemy team if I wanted to. This is what I'm talking about, guys. If you're adding enough impact to games that you can 1v5, then you can beat just about anyone in low MMR. That's just how it is. Like, there's no way we're losing this game because I can literally 1v5 them if I wanted to. They can't kill me. They literally can't kill me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to play Sonya to do this. I mean, Sonya is probably the only one that's going to be able to, like, 1v5. Like, Illidan can do it. But I think the point that I'm saying is you need to be bringing impact. I watched this game where I was playing with another Ragnaros, and he kept backing a lot. He kept taking fights, and he wasn't going for wave clear. And I was like, I was watching him, and I was like, this guy isn't really adding a lot of impact to this game. Then I went and I played a game as Ragnaros, and again, like, I didn't want to be mean and just call out this guy. But, like, I added so much more impact. Even if I wasn't winning fights, I got our team 3 levels ahead. Purely because if you're playing with people that are lower rank, it's very easy to just out-soak Outtake structures, outtake camps, as long as you're playing people who can do these things. And there's so many situations where this works, where you can be so much more impactful than the enemies. And it's, I don't know, I just see it a lot in coaching, and it's something that I always bring up is impact level and what you can do. And there's so many heroes that you can be very impactful with. And it's not limited to just the ones that, like, oh, the Sonya's out there or whatever. You can be impactful on just about anyone. If you're playing a tank, play a tank that can do wave clear and clear a bunch of waves. Now, the higher rank you get, it's going to be harder and harder to be this impactful in games, but people are still doing it. Like, one of the things that I noticed is, now I'm going for the core this entire time because that's our way to win the game. If I would have killed these, I think we would have won, but at the same time, if the enemies would have attacked the core, I also think we would have won. That's irrelevant. Here's the thing. I kind of learned this because I was watching two streamers. I was watching a streamer that was a silver player, and he was playing Dahaka. And he was asking people, he was like, hey guys, any Dahakas out there know what I could be doing different? Like, am I just not jumping in at the right times? What am I doing? And I realized, I was like, I don't play enough Dahaka to know. So I started watching McIntyre. And I started realizing that McIntyre was using all of his abilities like off cooldown. Like, he was using his tongue on towers for that extra 200 damage. He was using his W. He was pushing down waves very, very quickly, and he made sure that every time that there was a lull in a team fight, he was getting a ton of value by being extremely impactful in the fight. And then whenever there wasn't a lull in the team fight, he would be jumping in the team fight, and he would be getting a kill pretty much immediately every single time. And I was like, this is why this guy is on the #1 North America team. Every second of his gameplay, he's adding impact. He's adding value to his team by being impactful. Every single second of this game, he's being impactful. And that's why McIntyre is so good. And so I started doing the same thing. As I started looking at why the GM players were there. And all the GM players, every second of their game, they were being impactful. Every single time. This is an interesting thing. She pops her temporal. I just lower the damage of it, and then again, like, I can still 1v4 these guys, even though I don't have the experience lead anymore, but I still can do it. It's not too difficult. I just need to avoid the damage of the Mephisto, and I need to make sure that I get the majority of my spins off. So are you being impactful in team fights? This is another time where if I just peeled, our Tyrande wouldn't die here. Now, I can 1v5, so I don't really care, and they understand that too. They can't kill me, so they just go for everyone else. But essentially, are you being impactful in your games? Stop looking at just the scoreboard. And that's why I said this is a very difficult thing to count, because impact is not something that's going to pop up on the scoreboard. Yes, EXP contribution is the one that I'm using the most when I'm explaining the impact level, is because particularly my EXP contribution hit up 10,000 at one point above the enemy team's highest EXP contribution. Siege damage, if you look at siege damage, I'm well above them. But at the same time, we can look at a lot of things and go, well, in terms of hero damage, I'm barely above someone else. Or sometimes a solo laner has the highest hero damage because they can just sit there and auto-attack the enemy solo laner all the time. Which is why it's I would say it's not a quantifiable thing, which is impact level. But every time I coach people that are in low ranks, this is the major thing that I notice, is whenever they're like, I feel like mechanically I'm good. I'm like, yes, mechanically you are good, but you're wasting so much time in games. Tell me, at any point, did I waste time in this game outside of the time that I was dead? Yes, there were parts in the fights where I was fighting people that I knew I couldn't kill, and that's definitely something you don't want to be doing. But there were other parts in there where I mean, there was every camp that we had was taken pretty much as soon as it was up, because I was able to clear the waves, grab camps, and even when we got into team fights, I made sure that we were securing kills left and right. And it's just something that you need to be working on. It's very difficult to show unless I literally take someone who's bronze on a character versus someone who's masters on a character to show you the difference. But I really don't want to like bully people, and I don't want to take the time to like edit out their name the entire video. So I will say again, I've coached people of literally every rank now, and the people that are platinum and below, I can tell you right now, there's too much time that you're wasting during games that you're not being impactful. You're either wasting time because you don't have mana and you could have just backed and came back with full mana and then been scary. You're wasting time because you're not doing camps, or you're just playing someone who literally can't bring impact. When you hit like Grandmaster level, when everyone's being as impactful as they can, you can play whoever you want to, even if they don't bring a lot of impact. But if you really want to carry hard, you need to be playing people who can do camps, who can do waves, who can secure kills, who can set up kills. You need to be playing people who can do a variety of things, and you need to be actively doing it. I see this a lot of times on like Greymane as well, where either a Greymane's not doing camps, or when he gets into team fights, they're waiting too long for a kill so that they can jump in. They wait way too long in human form, or they jump in way too early in wolf form and just die. Genji's another problem with this, is like a lot of Genjis will wait for the dash and they won't be doing anything to set up a dash. Yet Genji's auto attack damage is actually pretty high. So if you just sit there and keep auto attacking and queuing and auto attacking and queuing, you could add like 10,000 damage a fight without even getting a reset. And that's what I'm talking about. You need to add impact to all of your games. Make sure that every second of your time is used efficiently. I have a friend, I've explained, I've used one of his quotes before in another video, but I've got this friend, he plays chess nationally. He's in the, I think, top 100 nationally. And he plays chess, and he says this thing where he essentially says, every time you make a move that's to like defend something on your side, you're just giving the enemy 2 or more times to set up an even worse situation. Every time you stop a check, you're getting closer to a checkmate. So he says essentially every move you should be doing should be setting up the enemies towards a checkmate. And so whenever you're doing something, like every time that you are just stalling, are like sitting to soak, it's important, and there's many areas where you do need to just sit there and soak, but every second, if you're not actively adding to your victory, then you're actually adding to your defeat. Even if you feel like you're just like, oh, well, we can't really do anything right now. Like, you saw how there was times I blew up this wave and I didn't just sit there. I blew up this wave, I grabbed this camp. I blew up this wave, I grabbed this camp. I blew up this wave, I grabbed this camp, and then I blew up this wave, and you could see how every time in between a wave I got something done and got such a large experience lead, it literally didn't matter what the enemies did. There was no way that they could kill me at 3 levels above them. Yes, maybe they didn't draft right. Yes, there's 100 things that we can talk about that both teams could have done differently, but this is more of just the concept, and I just wanted to show you a game where I was very impactful to show you what impact actually is. And this hits all stages of the game, and I know this video is getting really long and I'm just ranting at this point, but I see this way too much when I'm coaching people, is they're just not being impactful enough. Everything that they're doing is very small. Divers go in, they do damage on a target they can't kill, and then all that damage is wasted. Or someone just is wasting time in lane when you could be doing a camp, or you could be telling someone to do a camp while you soak. Because sometimes, say you're playing Deckard, how can you be impactful 100% of the time? Well, you can cover a lane for someone who can actually do a camp, and then they can go do that camp. You can set up potions in an area for your solo lane, so your solo lane can win the lane. There's so many things on every single hero in the game you can do to be more impactful, and I can promise you, even if you're mechanically better than everyone in your MMR, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing everything you need to be impactful. Thank you all for watching. Sorry the last 5 minutes of this video was just a rant paused, but I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you learned something, because I personally believe this is the #1 thing that separates high-ranked players from low-ranked players. You all could be mechanically just as good. Everyone could be mechanically a Masters player. But if you're not actually adding impact to the games, you're never going to be a Masters player. Even if you are there mechanically. Even if you're out trading Masters, if you're not adding impact, you're never going to get there. That's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching.